Here we are. It's another great day. It is Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. The Bills are 1-0. It's Todd and CJ. Noah is unavailable today. Ooh, that's weird. So how's it going?
Good. I mean, happy about last week. The city is always in a good mood after a big Bills win like that. I think they came out and did what they needed to do to prove that the hype is real.
Is the hype real?
Thought it was a good intro thing to say on the intro, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. They looked okay, I think. Um, clearly flawed, a lot of issues to clean up, but
A roster rebuild? Do you think you were
roster
at the point?
rebuild. Yeah,
Tear
I think
down.
Bean is on the hot seat. Um,
Oh God, is Hackett on the hot seat for real though?
I don't know. That was crazy. There were two
Ah,
things that were numerous things that were crazy about that game. But
yeah.
what did you think of the Seattle fans booing Russell Wilson?
It was funny because I listened to the Manning cast,
Mm-hmm.
like parts of it, and so when Manning was watching that and they booed Russell or whatever, and they were just like, "Well, Peyton, when you went back to Indy, like, did you get booed?" And I think Eli's response was, he wasn't traded, he was cut.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a huge difference there between how a fan sentiment of like a guy getting cut and feeling bad for Peyton, and that maybe he wanted to be there. It just seemed like at the time they wanted to move on to something younger, right? So as opposed to what happened with Russell, where he kind of demanded his way out of Seattle, and so I think that's a main difference is why the fans reacted the way they did. He's the highest he's got all the accolades for Seattle, right? So he's got all the like highest passing yards, I think, career, and he's got all the career accolades for Seattle. So he does deserve the respect, but I just think Carroll and them got those guys fired up for that game, and you know what I mean? It didn't matter how much they've loved him over the past 15 years. They wanted to win even more.
I agree. I don't know how you win even more by getting rid of Russell Wilson, but apparently, you know,
No. I agree. I don't think you're going to win more getting rid of him. I think he wanted out. Um,
yeah, he did. Right.
and if you ask me, I think it has a lot to do with the way that Carroll runs his offense. You know what I mean? And this
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah,
this,
I see
this
what you're saying.
yeah, the style of so like he just wasn't happy with the way they were going. He felt like, I mean, he had two great wide receivers, but it's always the running joke that they're just gonna wide up, they're just gonna block. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna
Right.
be in three wide receiver sets and block out of three wide receiver sets because they run very heavily. They
Yeah.
got away from letting Russell do like what Russell did, which was kind of get around the pocket, move around, and I don't know if he's lost a little bit too. Last year watching him, he definitely didn't look as good. And even in that Denver game, um, he's usually the guy that can place a ball deep. Like even if there's not much separation between the wide receiver and the cornerback, he can still place a ball to the point where the receiver has a better chance than the cornerback. But in a lot of those passes he threw deep, they were just awful. They just didn't they weren't even close to being caught as much as Sutton didn't get much separation. It's still the balls weren't there to be able to make the play. So
Yeah.
I it's tough.
Yeah. Such is life.
Yeah.
Speaking of tough. Oh, well, okay. So back to your question about Hackett. Um, I assume you saw his post game interview or
No. Nope.
discussion.
Nope.
Okay, so during the discussion, they asked him, why didn't you call timeout? And he said, well, we said we had to get to the 46 or to the 45 or something. I don't know. He said some yardage number, and 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 that's where we needed to kick from. So that's where we were going to kick from. And he said, had we not gained one more yard, we would have gone for it. But because we were where we wanted to be, we were going to kick it.
Yeah, I mean, watching the reaction.
And it was a 64-yard kick, which is ridiculous. But go ahead.
No, watching the reaction, third down, Russ comes off the field. Watching the coach's reaction, you almost knew that they were going to kick it because they came up to him like, you did great. Like, you did exactly what we needed you to do. Like a pat on the back and a shake his hand, like, okay, go sit down. You did. And it's like, that was your first indication, like, hey, they're not putting him back out there. You know what I mean? And it was like almost like, hey, you did good enough to get us where. And in my mind, you're nowhere near that. I mean, to kick a field goal, there's never been a field goal that has been made 64, right? That would have been the record.
I think they said that would have been the second longest.
Oh,
or wow. Maybe it would have been tied for the longest. I don't know. They said it was only been done once.
Okay, so I mean, in Mile High, right? Like I could see that kick being made, but you know what I mean. In Seattle, I feel like you're even below. You're way below sea level. Maybe not, but I want to say Seattle is not as high altitude close as Denver is, obviously. But
no.
Yeah. So like, just what really heated me, not just that I took Denver, and I teased them, so I ended up getting the line down to like 1 point. So all they needed was Denver just needed to win by 1. Most people had them at -6. So I just needed them to win by 1. And you just spent your first round this year, your second round this year, your first round next year, and your second round next year to get Russell, and not to mention just paid him some crazy
$250 million. Yeah.
And you're telling me that that's not your option on 4th and 5? Like, you don't put the ball in his hands to make the play instead of trying to kick that? Like, it just didn't make much sense after everything that it seemed like, hey, we went and got him for these situations, right? I mean, and then you trot out your kicker, and it blew my mind.
Mine too. But
another thing I just wanted to ask you about that game too. Did you see when Adams got hurt?
I didn't. No.
Oh, okay. So if you watch, like, it's not the replay of him getting hurt, because there's nothing in the play that happens that you're like, oh God, that looked bad. He's walking off the field, and it looks like he's limping on his ankle or something like that. And then he gets to about the sideline, and it looked to me like he almost blew his knee out from walking the way he was walking, like trying to gingerly walk on the ankle or whatever was wrong with the other side. He kind of stepped funny, and you see him kind of go down right when he got on the side. You got to see the clip. It's wild. It almost looks like he hurt himself more. Because usually guys get those guys to help them, right? And they kind of put their shoulders underneath them, and they help him walk off the field. But It looked like he walked off on his own power, but was limping very heavily. And because he favored that side, it almost looked like he injured his other knee, like a more serious injury. And then he was carted off the field. You know what I'm saying? So like, he was walking, and then that happened, and then he got right on a cart. So I don't know, but it looked like to me that he blew his knee out trying to just baby the other injury and not.
That always bothers me when they cart people off, like after they let them walk.
Yeah.
Like, I know there are certain points, like people have explained this before, where it's like you can't injure it anymore or something, so they let them walk off. But I'd be like, if you're hurt, just
stay there.
You're a $15 million football player per year who we're playing. Like, just stay. We'll get you on the cart.
100%.
You know? I just don't get it. I don't get like
where were the clearly. See, I could be wrong, but when I watched the play, the walk he had off was like, I've blown my ankle out a few times, and that was like the walk he had walking off. And then when he took that weird step, he went down, and like, you've seen his whole body almost fall to the ground, and then he grabs his knee, and it was just like, I don't know why nobody was at least helping him get off the field with it. If it's just a bum ankle, right, or it's a bad ankle, like, why are you not getting any help off the field at least? Like I said, most times two guys will come on each side of the guy and kind of help him walk off. He did it all on his own power, and then when he got to the sideline, it's like You gotta see the clip after the show. Go watch it because they got the clip, or I'll send it to you. But it's just, and tell me what you think, because watching it live, it looked like he blew his knee out, but it wasn't the one that got injured. It was wild. I wanted to know if you saw it because that's what I saw.
No, I didn't see it. I will check it out.
Yeah,
I will get back to you
for sure. I'll look forward to it.
Speaking of injuries, how and catastrophes and whatever. How about them Cowboys?
Oh my gosh, that is just. I was just listening to this thing, and it was like a fantasy podcast or whatever. But he just said it so perfect. It's like, I don't know if there is a worse way to start a season. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if, like, from a fantasy perspective, from a franchise perspective, from, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't know if there's a worse way to start a season. I think CD had like 16 targets that game or something stupid and caught like 2 or 3 or something.
He couldn't get separation.
Yeah, like they all
really strange.
Well, the question was going into this game was, do they have the wide receivers, because they got rid of Cooper and because they didn't have Gallup starting off, would the wide receiver
and Wilson
be right, and got rid of Cedric Wilson, right? A huge who had been there for, I want to say 4 years or almost since he'd probably been a rookie, and really understood the offense, knew where the soft spots were in the zone, and could always kind of take advantage of that. But when you got rid of those guys, the question was the depth, like, was there depth enough at the wide receiver position to be able to compete on the NFL level? And you saw that there just wasn't for Dallas. You know what I mean? Beyond CD and Schultz, you know, there wasn't much guys getting open or really doing anything to the point where, you know, they seemed like they could, you know, be relied on future. Now, again, you were going to get Gallup back next week, but I think, or next week or the week after. And I think that just, you know, all the stock for fantasy has just plummeted. I think Gallup, you don't even need to pick up anymore. I think CD is going to be questionable for the next 8-9 weeks, whether he'll be good or not. And I think Schultz will honestly be the most consistent out of all 3 of them. But just because he's a tight end and
maybe Pollard receiving. But.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the guys that like would work well with Cooper Rush, and that he's not very experienced. So you're gonna want those easy outs, right? Like the easy routes, you know, the close ones, the comfortable ones that are real close. You know, so those are your guys, the running backs, tight ends, like you said. CD's more of a downfield threat,
intermediate.
He's always made those, like, to me, he's great along the hash. Like, if you catch him going up the seams, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's made great plays going up the seams. You know what I mean? And that's what he's usually used for. But I want to say that now you're putting him outside, and, you know, you're changing his whole focus, and it's a lot different. So yeah, I mean, outside of the fact that Tampa looked good, there was a few throws with Tom. There was a throw that I want to say he chucked it deep, and I want to say it was to Julio. And it wasn't caught, but I am telling you, this ball went from the 25-yard line to maybe the 30-yard line to the other 25. And so that's a huge throw for a guy that old. I was just like, are you kidding me? He's
50-yard throw or something?
Yeah. Well, for
60 yard.
Yeah, it was between 50 and 60. And it was like, you know, I couldn't believe that Brady still had that. You know what I mean? Like, I hadn't even seen that in the past couple of years, I feel like. But he looked good on Sunday night, right? Yeah, Sunday night.
Yeah. So Saquon Barkley
is back, baby. Let's go.
Is he definitely back?
Remember how we were talking about the one cut?
Yeah.
I see that. I see it a few plays where he hit that one cut, like on the touchdown he made. It was just a one cut, get upfield. Now, he only had about 2 yards, so it wasn't like the one cut did everything and got him a 60-yard gain like you see with like Taylor or whatever. But he definitely made the one cut, and it wasn't that bad, and he got right up in the hole. And, you know, receiving, he had a few big chunk gains. I want to say a 35 to 40-yard rush. And, you know, he's getting involved in the passing. I think it's Dable. You know what I mean? You got to respect Dable and what he can do to an offense. And I just think that's a direct result of that.
Yeah, I agree. I had some fun watching his highlights. Really enjoyed seeing him enjoy himself. Like, That was the thing. Like you could tell he was having fun. And I thought that was cool.
After what he's gone through the past couple of years.
That's what yeah.
It's like you
icing.
Love to see that. Yeah, exactly.
So there was a Bills game. You want to hop there?
It was so long ago.
It was.
It feels so long until another one. It's just like,
yeah. So we previewed Bills Tennessee. Most of what I said was wrong. Most of what you said was right. And Noah just kind of mumbled through a lot of it. But
I definitely hit on Phillips. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember hitting it, like specifically saying like watch out for Phillips. And I remember saying that it was going to be a Josh game where Josh was going to just do whatever Josh needed to do to win the game. And, I don't think there's any better like still of that aspect than when he ran into the end zone on that one where he almost gets clobbered by who's the new running linebacker there? Wagner.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, him coming up on Wagner at the goal line, that is not something I want to see very often. And I caution against it. Like, I don't want him doing stuff like that, but I know the type of player that he is at this point. Mm-hmm. And if it's losing and not scoring there versus doing what it's not a question. And I don't think a lot of those are designed. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them are just Josh kind of being like, yeah, I can do that myself. And like, that makes me more nervous because
he's going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that because, like, in my mind, and I think maybe this is what you were saying, but, like, Josh gets fired up by that, and it turns him into a different player. Like, you could see him at a very high level playing, right? But when he puts a hit on somebody, or he makes the kind of play, or even if he takes a big hit, it like rings a bell with him where it just like ups his competitiveness or something.
I think
his focus
on it too, though. Like,
yeah. I mean, it ups like everything. I mean, he may just go back in the huddle and be like, maybe the team feeds off that. But
yeah. Did you see that? Like,
right?
Yeah, I saw that. Type shit. Yeah. That's how I feel. I mean, I guess my only thing is this, right? So when you're running, how many times did he rush that game? Do you have 9, 10?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're rushing 9, 10 times, how many more times are you getting hit just throwing the ball? Josh, probably maybe 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not getting hit very much, I don't think, in the pocket.
I don't know. Well, he's been rolling. I mean, not has been, but he rolls out of the pocket. Right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's pretty smart in the pocket. I'm not saying he gets taken down a lot. That's what you know what I'm saying? So like sacked or just he gets the ball off and takes a big hit. You rarely see that, if I'm being honest, like from what I watch.
Right.
So if you're saying so I guess if you put those together, so you say 5, and then if he's rushing 10 times, that's 15 times that he's going to take a hit a game. And that scares me. I don't care how big you are. I loved everything they did the other day, but I don't care how big you are longevity wise in the NFL. Even if they're not big hits to the point where you're being injured on them, it's consistent hits to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the neck, to the legs. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, over time, those will compound to the point where you will not be able to move those areas of your body anymore. God forbid it's an arm. God forbid it's a leg, right? You know what I'm saying? And I worry that, even with how big he is, I don't care how big you are, it's going to take a toll after 10 years. You know what I mean? And that's what I worry about.
I'm fine with that. If
10 years?
If 10 years from now,
he's done. And he can't. 10 years from now, he's done. 8 years from now, he's done. Because you got to be realistic, right? Because if he's going to be done in 10, he's probably going to be done in, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to start at 8.
I think he'll just have to adjust, right, into a pocket passer.
100%.
And right now at his age, like he just seems like like he's made of bricks, made
Yeah.
of stone.
No, you're right. You're
and
right.
he just feels like it, and it's
But
like
Newton was also right at Newton's point in his career. At this point in Newton's career, he was also could take hits like nobody's business, and it was like, wow, how did he take those? And I just think about him and where he's at today, and that he's a lot younger of a quarterback than a lot of the guys that are still playing. But it's because of how many hits he took that his arm is just not there anymore, or his legs are not. You know what I mean? And I don't want to compare him but you have nothing else to really compare Josh to at this point, unfortunately, as far as size, as far as what
Roethlisberger is the size, and
not. But does he take as much hits?
I think. Well,
So
I
if
mean,
you're
they
taking
ran
out
the
those
ball.
10,
They ran the ball so much.
well, he just doesn't run very much. Yeah, he takes hits. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with you that he would take hits. And Roethlisberger was one of him and McNabb, from what I remember as a child, were one of the two great quarterbacks. And just even when you thought you had him in the pocket, he could kind of duck under you and kind of throw you off of him.
Yeah,
and
he
would
knew
run
how to
back out.
manipulate that pocket.
He was they were great. They were great to watch. So, but I'm just saying, I mean, McNabb maybe a little bit more, but Roethlisberger doesn't rush as much as Josh does, obviously. So I think that's
I meant Pittsburgh rushes so much.
runs. No. I get what you're saying. So that helps him, though. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So
I get it. I got what you meant there.
He does manipulate the pocket. So if he can follow Roethlisberger's path at a higher level,
oh yeah,
right? Yeah. Then, I mean, I'm saying,
I mean, it's
okay.
Yeah. I will say this: watching that game the other night gave me hope that is possible, because from the first couple plays of the game, and I want to touch on what I heard. I don't know if you watched Jalen Ramsey, but he kind of is. Let me finish what I'm saying, and then I'll go into that. But anyways, watching that game the other day, I felt as though Josh, what we know Josh for is when he was younger, when he was first coming up, he would try to make those deep shots downfield, even though they weren't there. But he felt like his arm and, maybe the guy could come up with a ball. And so he would do that a lot and kind of force a ball every once in a while. And what I watched with that game the other night was Josh was willing to just take what the defense gave him, as opposed to forcing that ball downfield. And then once he took what the defense gave him, they bring the safety down, and he tells Diggs just to keep going, right? He tells Diggs to keep going. And that's when he hits his deep 60-some yard, touchdown, which is the Allen we know of, that type of guy that would throwing those kind of balls, but more often. But he only threw that and waited till the third quarter to do that, right? I want to say.
To Diggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he waited till the third quarter, and I just
think might have even been the.
I didn't want to say the fourth because I couldn't remember for sure.
I think it was the fourth.
But either way, that's a very long time to wait for Josh, for a quarterback like Josh, and from what we've seen from Josh in the past, it's a long time for him to wait to take that shot. But he played it perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So to me, you're seeing the maturity, in that aspect, and that gives me hope that yes, eventually, if he's seeing cues like that and he's realizing to kind of be a little bit less
adventurous.
Risky. Yeah, yes. a little bit less adventurous, a little bit less risky, then he'll look at that in the same light as he does the running eventually and be like, okay, let me be less risky, right? And take, and do this to take a different approach, basically, which is I feel as though that's what he's doing with his passing. And you can see the results of that. It was great the other night. And then the Ramsey's thing was just on that Diggs route specifically. I remember him speaking about it, and it was just a very interesting interview he did.
Oh yes,
and
you're talking about
and he speaks on the Diggs route, and he basically says there's Knox and there's Diggs, and if Knox goes a certain way, then he's got to take Knox, but if Diggs goes a certain way, he's got to take Diggs. And because of how good Knox is, because of how good Knox is at what he does, which is they do like pretty much a two route combination, that any big Knox play is always either him going to like the sideline or him kind of in a different area of the field. from what I recall. I'm not putting it all out there because I can't remember word for word what he said. But either way, you can do either one. So he's expecting it. So the fact that he had to watch out for Knox, he said he watched Knox for an extra second too long. And by that point, Diggs was behind him, and he knew once Diggs was behind him that it was over because wide receivers that good with a quarterback that good it's done. Don't matter what corner is what he said. Don't matter what cornerback you are. Don't matter who you are. You're done after that. If you let him get by behind you, it's over. And he's like, Josh stepped up in the pocket, like not stepped up in the pocket, like was running up in the pocket and flicked the ball. He said, this is the word he used, flicked the ball 50 yards.
Yep.
And so hearing him talk about that, he gave a lot of respect to Josh and stuff like that. I want to say he even went as far as to like
call him elite or something like that.
Yeah, just kind of backtrack on all the negativity that he had brought. Because I think that, that had a lot to do with how fired up they were. To them, to me, it seemed like that was the Bills coming out party. Like even though the Rams won a Super Bowl last year, this was the Bills coming out and being like, okay, that was your Super Bowl winner. Well, we deserve that basically. And I think that's what they showed. And so but anyways, back to the Ramsey thing, it was just a very interesting interview and he gave a lot of insight and he just gave a lot of respect to the team. And I thought that was great, because I really was getting tired of hearing him talk about us.
What I liked about that play was that it wasn't a planned play.
Yeah.
Like that Josh just said, go run deep. Yeah. And that's cool because Josh saw something.
Yeah.
And
waited.
Right. But Josh, he waited. And then he was like, let's put the hammer in this.
Yeah.
And so he must have saw Ramsey bite some other time, on a Knox route.
I thought that the safety wasn't in position, but I could be wrong.
I thought so too. Yeah. That was Rapp, right?
Right. And so but obviously, that's Ramsey's guy either way. I thought Ramsey was going to come in this interview and kind of just say like, oh, I was in a zone, which they were. And I thought he was just going to put it on that. Like I was in a zone. That's not really my guy. But in reality, that is, you're in a zone, but if that guy goes through your zone and back, that is your guy. You're a cornerback. You know what I mean? And yes, the safety might not have been in the right position also, but he definitely didn't stray away from it being his fault, which I thought was also, good to see.
Yeah.
Because it was at the end of the day, and it was a great play. And like you said, him telling him to go, he picked them apart, went short, waited to see what they were going to do. And eventually, timed it perfectly that, hey, go. I got a feeling they're going to do this time. They did it last time, trying to break on a ball that I was on another route, on a shorter route. So one guy will go short, Knox, the other guy will go, you know what I'm saying? And then send Diggs deep. Diggs it worked out very well. But it was a great game. There's a lot of things that you wanted to see coming out. They look confident. They look good. Defense looked amazing.
It did.
Even the cornerbacks looked amazing. I know we were talking about Allen Robinson as a must start last week, and I just think that is.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like you expected him going up against two rookie cornerbacks I don't think both rookies started, but they played a lot.
They did. They rotated almost 50-50.
But I want to say it was it Levi?
Benford?
Was it who? And then was it Levi that started, or was it?
What? It was Benford who started, but
it wasn't Elam. Elam didn't start though.
No, Elam didn't start. It was Benford and Jack
Dane.
Yeah, Jackson.
Okay. I'm sorry. I get them mixed up.
I'm like, Levi's gone.
I was like, okay. I was like, good. He's playing somewhere else last weekend. That's what it was.
Yeah, he was
definitely
with
heard
Pittsburgh,
his name.
right?
Yeah, I definitely heard his name. But yeah. So I'm sorry, I got off track. Where were we? Where was I?
I don't. You were talking about the corners.
Oh yeah, defense. Yeah, so it's just like those two guys. Him even with Elam not starting, they came in, played a lot better than I think a lot of people thought. They really shut down Robinson. Now, watching a lot of film on that game, there was a few plays where, because of how fast I felt because of how quickly the rush was getting there, that it was forcing Stafford to not be able to do all of his reads. And if he would have went through if he would have had a chance to like 1-2 and then kind of go back to either one, he would have had Robinson wide open a few times, but he was never able to get to that point. And I think that just shows how great the defensive line played and got in his face. And,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
They never blitzed. I mean, literally. I mean, that's the stat. You never blitzed. They didn't have to blitz one time.
I mean, have we not been saying this though for a year and a half or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like rush 4 is what they want,
and
right?
That's how
they
you
want
win.
Pressure, and that is how you will beat and what did they do? Especially with the 2 rookies sitting there, you definitely, if you can get there with 4, then it doesn't matter what the rookies are doing. It doesn't, it really doesn't, unfortunately, as long as they can stay on their guy for the first 2 seconds, it's,
right.
2-3 seconds, defense will be there. And it's just, that was just wild to see just how dialed in they were and how good they looked as a unit already.
I agree. And I mean, there were some definite things to like, other stats to like, I guess I'll go with Singletary averaging 6 yards per carry. Zach Moss running the ball wasn't fantastic. He had a couple runs I thought that were short. I mean, they were only like 3-yard runs, but they were still like thumpers, and it he looked different to me. James Cook lived up to your expectations, I think. Which is a little scary.
That was rough, dude. I don't know. Like, I hate to be right on that type stuff, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
I'd have been fine with him sitting a bench and not playing. You know what I mean? Like,
he played 2 more snaps after that. That was his first snap. His first snap in NFL in the NFL, and he played 2 more the rest of the game.
Rough.
It is. So Diggs and Davis both. While Diggs went over 100, Davis had 88.
Yeah,
both had touchdowns.
Yep.
McKenzie's touchdown after his drop, or after his interception.
Yeah, drop leading to interception. Yeah.
Yes. Moss had 6 receptions, which I didn't realize until I was looking at stats. But he's an interesting out for, because as I look at the stats now, he averaged 3.5 yards per reception, even, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But he just he's such an enigma. He's so weird.
They all are, though. Like, I don't know. The first 2 runs of the game, I want to say, was like an inside run. No, it wasn't the first 2, but it was like, but at one point, like early on, they did an inside run with Singletary, or no, yeah, an inside run with Singletary and an outside run with Moss. And I just thought to myself, like, I want those guys doing the exact opposite. I want Singletary running to the outside, and I want Moss going up the middle, like, or the little draw plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want Moss doing. I don't want Singletary between the tackles. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, that's not something I want to see. And
he did well, though. Like I said, he averaged 6 yards per carry, and none of them. I don't remember him having like a huge break. Like a 25-yard run or something that would skew those numbers.
No, he had a good 10 or 11-yard gain. Yeah, and I remember with Singletary, it's always like, or at least he makes it seem like on the field that he, like, if he missed one guy, or if one guy just,
one
that he feels like he'd be a touchdown, because he always just makes it look like, I don't know if like it's his body language or what, but he always just, I think he feels that way. So like you could, and I'm like, dang, he probably could have had that,
right, every time,
regardless if he's right or not. But I swear, every time he gets a big chunk, 10-yard, and then it'll only be like 10 or 11 yards. Like, like, dang it, I almost had it.
Yeah. Dawson Knox was a no-show he had 1 reception, but for 5 yards, but he did a great job blocking. I thought he sealed off a bunch of walls on those pitches, which are new this year. A nice Ken Dorsey addition, the pitches. And So I thought Knox played well there. I thought Reggie Gilliam looked really nice trying to open holes. There were a couple blocks that he missed here and there, Gilliam, but really opening those holes for the most part worked. I think, and as they get more in sync and he gets his timing right, he'll hit those linebackers instead of miss them, and the guys will get right assignments and that kind of thing. We talked last week about Tremaine Edmonds needing to show up and ball out. This year he led the team in tackles.
Good.
He looked okay in pass coverage, I thought. I think there were one or two where I went, and then there were a couple where I was like, oh. So, so he had a couple I's and a couple O's, but overall I thought he was he played well. He didn't seem as fast as I expected him to look, but that's just game by game. I thought Milano looked great. Dane Jackson looked great. As you said, the rookie corners looked great. Basham came out of nowhere, with the interception and everything. And Rousseau played a huge game, and obviously Von Miller and Jordan Phillips. So that covers basically everyone on the team. Ed Oliver is still in a walking boot. He didn't practice today. Tim Settle didn't practice today either, from what I read. The other thing on offense, just to sort of finish up last week, the other thing on offense is how freaked out people were that they weren't playing Shakur, and because who was going to return punts, and then all of a sudden you see Crowder out there returning punts, and you're just like, all right,
that makes sense.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm good with that decision. Because nobody wanted it to be McKenzie, and like everyone forgot about Crowder, but Crowder looked like he will fit well into this offense. That's what I thought about Crowder when I saw him on the field. Again, once he gets his timing down with Josh and the offense,
I don't mind him replacing Beasley. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's good. I think he's doing a good job at that.
Yeah, especially if McKenzie's gonna start fumbling and all that stuff again. But so some things I read today, previewing Monday night. Some things I read today. Like I said, Oliver and Settle didn't practice today. I don't know if Oliver's still in the walking boot, but I know he left the game with the walking boot, and he probably won't go. But I think they said Settle will probably go. Those seem to be the biggest injuries. So where, we talked about the defensive line a little bit. You talked about Jordan Phillips. I just hit on Basham. Because I think they're going to be just as fired up for this game as they were to play the Rams, right? Because the Rams was a season opener. You're on national television. It's Von Miller's, return against his old team, all that kind of stuff. There were a couple weird interviews with Von where he was talking about warming up on the wrong side of the field and how much he missed LA. And I was a little confused, but, overall, I have a hard time seeing them lose to Tennessee. No. Tennessee was playing Hilliard, and they were rotating Hilliard and Henry at running back. I don't know that Henry's completely back yet. I'm glad we're getting Henry early in the season. But if with Tannehill as their quarterback, I don't know. The Bills have always had Tannehill's number anyway. Or is it the other way around? Now my brain is like scrambled eggs. But yeah,
Well, in the beginning, I feel like we always make him not do, and then in the like they
against
start doing the
Miami.
play actions and stuff like that. Well, I'm saying since he's been in Tennessee, they beat us twice,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like we'll do okay, and then they'll kill us on the play actions at the end of the game. Like I just remember Brown last time specifically, just they walked downfield on us. There's a couple minutes left, and then we had to score there. What Josh fell? How much were we down by when he goes for that rushing touchdown and doesn't get it? It's like with a couple seconds left.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm terrible with that stuff.
I can't remember. I think we were down by 3 because they could have kicked the field goal and we could have went in overtime and they chose not to. That's what it was, right?
That's probably right.
Okay. Yeah. And then so they decide. So we were all. So that was the issue. We were like, oh, why don't you just kick it? You trust your team to go into overtime. Okay. So they go for it there. Yeah. So they needed. I want to say they scored a touchdown on us at the end there, and then we needed to just get a field goal to tie it or a touchdown to win it. But they walked right downfield on us. But without Brown, without Brown this year, I think Woods will do well against us. Mm-hmm. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not that worried about Tennessee either. I don't think anybody. It's like a 9-point spread or 11 point. What is it right now?
It's 9.5. Wow. It opened at 9.5. I haven't seen if it moved or not, but to open at 9.5 at home on Monday night, I mean,
yeah,
I'm gonna do what that stupid guy who everyone in Buffalo hates, Nick, right? Is that it? Where he talked about the home team already getting 3, so the Bills were already getting 3 and they're 9.5 favorites.
Yeah.
So they're really 12.5, right?
Yeah. Does he mean 3 or does he mean like you're automatically 3 when you are the home team?
Well, that was one of the weird things because he really ripped the Bills going into week 1, and then after he's one of those people who hates Josh Allen and will stick to his guns and all that kind of stuff, and who had a beef with Buffalo and everything last year, and all the Bills Mafia came out and sort of destroyed him. But
yeah, I know who you're talking about. ESPN guy, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own show. It was on his own show. But I think he used to be on like Good Morning Football or
Fox Sports 1.
NFL. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
But after the game, he was like, "Yeah, Josh Allen's good. The Bills look great." He's like, "I'm not gonna fight it anymore." Yeah, so I was happy about seeing that because I was tired of seeing his stupid face. But like, so in the last 2 matchups, the Bills have lost, 34-31 and 31-24, or 34-31 when they were leading 31-24. And then they were destroyed in 2020 on a Tuesday night. Oh, because of COVID, 42-16. So they have some proving to do. Again, it's another team that they have to put up for and be ready for. And it's another team. It's another notch in the belt, right? If they get that far. If they get that far, if they get to the end of the fourth quarter and have more points than Tennessee, it's a notch in the belt. So, I think staying consistent and that kind of thing. I don't know that Josh will complete another 83% game, but hey, it helps keep haters away and people who say that he can't complete the pass. Obviously stopping Derrick Henry is important. But I think they'll be all right. They have so much beef in the middle now.
Yeah, I think they're better than they were last year, like equipped wise.
Yeah, than they've been ever, maybe.
For a guy like that.
Yeah. And well, it's another homecoming for Dawson Knox, since he's from around there. That's, I think with it being on Monday night that they're just going to want to ball out and show up and show off again. They seem to actually enjoy showing off, almost like, hey, we're a big shiny machine, or we're a Harley and, you're not. And like being ranked first and that kind of thing. So I think in that sense that they really like that. They like the flash and they like all the stuff, the attention they're getting and all of that stuff. And they don't seem to be immature or unable to handle it, at least from what I can tell. But I don't know. We'll see as they go through the season if that stays and how strong the leadership is. We got a question from Brenda. Said, based on week 1, who do you think may be our top two most difficult opponents? So my thought obviously is Kansas City. Kansas City looked lights out. Yeah. So the Bills play Kansas City October 16th, which is, I don't know, week 5 or something. No. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Week 6. And that's in Kansas City. So I think that's going to be probably their toughest game of the year. I don't know what you think about that, CJ, but that's...
What was the question?
The question came in, who do you think are going to be your 2 most difficult opponents going forward through the rest of the season? I think it'll be the Chiefs. Will probably be their hardest opponent of the year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe the Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings look good.
Bengals would be. I mean, those 3 stand out above the rest.
Yeah, right now, Baltimore. I think they looked good last week. I think Baltimore.
I didn't get enough of Baltimore, but
I put Baltimore above Minnesota.
Okay. They have a tough schedule before the bye, and such a tough schedule. After the bye, they may be a little better, but for the bye, that schedule is so hard. I mean, the Dolphins looked okay, right? And that's who we have after the Titans is the Dolphins. They looked all right. I mean, it depends on whether they looked all right because the Patriots suck, or if they looked all right because they're actually all right. But it seems like their coach can coach. He didn't pull any Nate Hackett's or anything like that. So they have the Dolphins, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs. all before the bye, and then they have the bye, and right after the bye, they have the Packers. Their first easy game to me is the Jets on November 6th. And I mean, so you're talking 2 months from now being their first easy game, besides the bye, I guess. And then right after that, they have to play the Vikings. So some other things I wanted to talk about. Were the shout song. So I want to talk about the shout song. And if you think the Bills should stop playing the shout song after field goals.
So like just after field goals, like you're saying, like, are you saying like that field goals are not a good enough reason to do it?
Yeah.
All right. I think the point of it is to keep morale as high as possible for as long as possible, right?
Yeah.
Or would you say that
when I'm in the stadium, people don't seem to get super excited about the shout song being played after field goals. Like after a touchdown, you're super excited, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you know, like
Do
after a
people
field goal, you're like,
yell it though? Do they at least yell it?
You know,
but do they still yell shout at the end at least?
And do the haze?
No, you don't gotta do all that. Just at the end.
I think
the last
they
one
do.
has to be the good one, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean, or no?
Like, yeah, I think probably enough do. But I think if you played something else, you know, you could get another song into the vernacular, maybe. Like,
okay. So
hey,
something else,
kick the field goal. Yeah, Bills. You know, something like that.
Oh, like create a whole nother one.
Hey, why not? No, I don't know, but like have the field goal song. You know.
Gotcha.
I don't know, but it's not the same, like, to me. And I think touchdowns should be celebrated at a different level than field goals. That's my thought. And
I agree.
And then the other thing that's always bothered me about, or not always, because it hasn't always been around, but is when the Bills do their chants or when the fans do their chants at the beginning before kickoffs, and they do Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Right. Well, we stole that from Baltimore, and it's always bothered me that we stole that from Baltimore. So I should we find another song and create a song? Not this time. Don't create. And you know, but I will say there are plenty of songs like in Europe with soccer, right? That are chants that are for teams that they just chant throughout the entire game, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. I think it would be awesome if like we had those kind of things going in the NFL. But anyway, do you think that they should find a different song to play before kickoffs?
Is it the shout song? What is the before kickoff?
It's Seven Nation Army. It's the Seven Nation. Oh, the dun,
I got you. Okay. Yep. I know it's all. I just didn't realize that that's when they played it. I know they play like every game, but I didn't realize it was just before kickoff.
It's before every kickoff. Yeah,
I got you. I don't go to enough games to kind of.
Fans love it. I mean, that's part of it. Is fans love singing along. But if you got another sing along song, I think
you'd be better off. Yeah, like just be creative and think of your own. I'm always for that. If we really took it from Baltimore.
It annoys me that we took it from Baltimore.
I'd rather us have our own.
I'd rather us have our own. You know, it feels like to me, and I don't think people know or
I'm not like super passionate about it, but
right.
It's annoying.
And then another topic that I said we would bring up is that there's someone on the Bills who we think is the best player in the league. And I didn't want to give away to our listeners who we were going to say it was, but there's someone on the team who is the best player in the league. And so based upon that, that's awesome.
Sorry.
That's okay. So based upon that teaser, should we give away who we think the best player in the league is?
I mean, are we saying that our viewers are not smart enough to figure it out?
No, our viewers are the smartest viewers in football.
Right, so I think they know who we're talking about.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that Josh Allen could win Offensive Player of the Year, MVP, and Von Miller could win Defensive MVP and Defensive Player of the Year?
Is it possible? Yeah, for sure.
Or someone from the defense. I mean, the defense is so good. They're just so good. It's scary, like how good they are.
I don't know what she's upset about. I'm sorry. She was just losing her mind.
It's okay.
I think she
No
thought
worries.
I left.
Maybe she was singing the shout song.
Yeah, she's just trying to.
Yeah. I think it's possible that someone from the defense could win Defensive Player of the Year. You know, and it could be any of them at this point. But they're so good, aren't they? Like, I mean, it wouldn't be like Benford or whatever.
No.
I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 guys who you could see. I mean, what happens if Rousseau ends up with 16 sacks, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's over.
Like,
with Watt out of the picture now?
Right.
Because he looked great. You know what I mean?
Rousseau looked awesome.
Well, no, I said with Watt out of the picture.
Watt looked great.
With Watt out of the picture, you know what I'm saying? Like he looked like so. Like now you have one less young guy that could possibly, you know, get real high up there.
Right.
So it's like, I think that's very possible. I mean, I don't know. I think Rousseau's probably got the highest ceiling out of all of them, to be honest. So I think, you know.
Yeah.
That's why you have to say him, right? You know, because I'm trying to think of, okay, you know, could another guy.
It's that they rotate the line so much, right? That no guy gets enough sacks.
Yeah.
Well, or I mean, gets enough percentage of play.
Yep.
Yes, Brendo, we mean Josh Allen. So.
You knew you'd figure it out.
Smartest fans in the league. But yeah, I could see anyone like getting, I don't know, even like, I don't know, Edmonds, Poyer.
It's gonna depend. Well, for the line, it's gonna depend on who can get the most snaps and reps and.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like.
And that may just come down to attrition and injuries, right?
Well, yeah, it's like, well, you want to say like Epinesa could easily do it, but it's like, I don't know if I could see him playing enough snaps to the point where he could do it, you know, or.
Yeah.
I just think Rousseau is just viable on any play to make that. You know what I mean? So it's like.
And Basham looked strangely good.
Like, yeah, Miller's interesting. You know, he's a little bit old past his prime, so it's like I don't know, you know, but I definitely think he will set up a lot of other people to do.
Right. I mean, if he draws double teams, and that's fine.
Yep.
Like for the next 3 years, if he draws double teams, and then we cut him, and whatever, take our cap.
And there's 3 guys on the line that have 10 plus or something stupid.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's what you want.
That's what he's here for.
That's right. So he better do it. Anything surprise you this week in the league?
Atlanta played a lot better than I thought they would. I thought they would get crushed. Mariota doesn't look too terrible.
You better learn how to throw to Pitts, though.
I know. He's gonna need to. So that really stuck out. I couldn't believe Denver lost that game. Geno Smith looked better than I thought.
Yeah.
Trying to think what other like surprise loss. Tennessee was a surprise. Giants looked pretty good, but that's stable.
Do we trust that that's real? That the Giants are for real?
Oh no. I think Jones will have to go, to be honest. I don't think he's the guy.
Yeah.
So I don't think, if they creep in with Dallas out now,
Right. And Washington sucks, and
yeah,
so it's gonna come down to the Giants and Philly.
Yeah,
right?
and I think just how Philly snuck in there and had no business being in there and got destroyed the first round. Like, if they get there, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be because everybody else in the division is like freaking 8 and 9.
Yeah. I don't think Dallas is going 8 and 9, but
no, not them, but the other two. Yeah.
Yeah. Did Kansas City surprise you?
Kansas City, they did. I didn't think they'd be that good.
Yeah.
But I think they'll have a hard time in LA this weekend, Thursday, tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah. Definitely, they look dynamic.
Yep. What'd you think of Cincinnati?
That was definitely surprising. But those games are always tight.
Yeah.
Give them a couple games against non-division, and I think they'll be fine. Burrow really didn't throw very much. I felt like, when he did, he threw picks. So
right,
he didn't look great. But what he's capable of last year. I think Higgins being out really hurt him.
And Boyd. They lost Higgins and Boyd during the game. So
so I think that hurt him. But yeah, no, I'm not too worried about him. You know what I mean? Like, not yet, at least.
Yep. Any betting picks or fantasy information you have for this week?
I don't know what. I'm almost thinking about going with the Bills, no matter what it is, as long as it doesn't get up to like 11 or something stupid. Let me see.
Where do you get your odds from?
Just Yahoo Sports.
Okay.
They have all, and it's pretty accurate. They have them all lined up, and it's just easy to read. And
it's 10 right now.
10.
DraftKings. It's
I want to look at that Chargers Chiefs game. Chiefs -4. Chiefs at home.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I probably like the Chiefs there.
Vikings +2 against the Eagles.
What time is that game? Oh, that's Monday night.
Yeah.
Eagles -2. Yeah, that's interesting. No, I don't hate the Eagles in that matchup, but
I don't hate the Vikings in that matchup.
Great. Vikings look great. Their defense looked great last weekend.
Yeah. A new coach really seemed to make them into something that they should have been all along.
Well, that's what's crazy is I was thinking about them earlier too, and it was just like, yeah, well, they should be there. You know what I mean? They have the talent, they have the, and they just, I don't know, for whatever reason, haven't been able to put it all together. And what if this is the year that they do that? They could be unstoppable in the NFC.
Yeah. The Packers.
Bengals will crush the Cowboys now with no Dak. But yeah, no, fantasy wise, the only thing I could say is if you got Elijah Mitchell, he went down for about 2 months, and then you got Dak, you got a bunch of injuries. You got to
I have to figure out how to replace Elijah Mitchell, but
yeah, Wilson will probably step into that spot.
Yeah, I grabbed Wilson, but
you're going to have a lot of more Debo involved, I think, or just he's going to stay pretty involved like he was last week, and I think
so too. which
I think Wilson, but I think last week, you know, everybody's kind of down on Wilson because he didn't play well when he had the opportunities last week.
right.
But that game was the weather and the field and just the
Yeah, that was
conditions
awful.
were terrible.
Did you
And
see the field? Like how it was?
Yeah, no, I watched.
How the lines were like.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Like
and so I just think that he'll bounce back. I want to say they're playing the Seahawks. So yeah, I think he'll play well against the Seahawks this week, Wilson, and I think people will be like, "Oh, okay, now I'm higher on him than I was," you know. So I mean, that's really all I got. They're saying Kamara's hurt, but he will be okay to play over the weekend. Keenan Allen is out tomorrow night.
Right.
Um,
Najee Harris got hurt, but
yeah,
I
they're
think
saying
he's gonna play, right?
Yeah.
And Montgomery from New England got hurt, so they're starting to thin out their running backs, their backfield.
Oh, he got hurt. Okay, I'm trying to figure out.
They put him on the IR. Yeah.
Wow, that's rough. So that's going to be. They were saying that was going to be Stevenson's role, and that was the big reason why Stevenson was going to be good this year or whatnot, you know. And then it comes out, and Montgomery's leading the, you know, got the touchdowns and stuff like that. It's just pretty wild how it worked out. But now they'll go back to it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Mac Jones didn't look good, and I don't know.
No.
He said he was hurt, but all of a sudden they're saying he's going to play. Yeah, I don't know.
Right, and they knew right away he was going to play too. Right after they knew Sunday night he was going to play.
Yeah.
Last question. Any comments on Mariota?
Any comments on Mariota?
I know you made a couple, but you want to make some more?
Okay. If you're in a position like for fantasy wise, is that what we're talking about?
I assume so. Yes.
Okay. All right. So if you're in a position where, like in my league, my one league, I think I have like Trey Lance and Aaron Rodgers, and neither showed very much confidence in last week. So if you're in that kind of position where you want to take a guess on a guy, I'd say in a heavy running league, as long as the question is, I think he ran for, let me see. He rushed for 72 yards and a touchdown. If you're going to pick him up, you're going to hope that continues as much as possible. And he hasn't always been the heaviest rushing guy. When he was the starter in Tennessee, he would rush a little bit, but it was definitely never 12 rushes. You know, that was not an average 70 some yards. That was really not what he did very often. But if that's the approach they take as an offense and they continue that next week, I think he'd be a solid guy to consider to pick up. And, you know, especially in a 2 quarterback league, definitely, you'd be fine. So I was considering him. It was him and a couple other quarterbacks, I want to say. Wentz, I think, did very well last week as far as fantasy. And then, so those are guys to consider, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. But with Mariota, I would worry that he couldn't keep up with, that rushing for the rest of the season. But if he can, then you definitely get a steal getting him now and not having to grab him later.
Yeah. Ride him till
you
can't, or he slows down or something, I guess. Or wait a couple weeks to make sure that his rushing stats stay, or his rushing stats are actual stats.
I think he'll be gone by then, though.
You think so? He might be gone within the next 5 minutes.
I'm going to say, if he runs another 70, 80 yards next week.
Yeah. Did you win in our league?
I lost. Malia won.
Malia had a great draft, though.
Yeah, I gave her my strategy, right? And I ended up just losing all the guys I wanted.
That's what happened to me. Every single time I had a pick lined up, he would go 2 picks ahead of me. like literally. And
Yeah.
I was like, no. Because like I was like all of my picks were like ready to like not start a run, but they were ready to like pivot, like
Yeah.
in that kind of thing. And I'm like, no, you can't take my idea. You can't do what I just was going to do. And so every single time, like I was on the clock and I was like, I don't know,
Just going with somebody you
Eli
didn't want.
Mitchell.
Somebody you
Yeah,
didn't want.
whatever. I took
Yeah.
freaking Eli Mitchell in the 6th round.
I'll tell you, which league was it? I think it was one of my leagues. I took ETN over Gibson.
Mm,
And I'm like, I knew I could have had Gibson, and I made the decision and said I didn't like Gibson with the backup
yeah.
before he got hurt or whatever shot. And but now looking back on it, it's like after Gibson gets like 7 or 8 catches, it's like, damn it.
Yeah.
But I still think ETN long term is better, but it's a redraft, so it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. What do you think about David Carr?
David?
Derek? I say David all the time, but yeah, the one who's still playing.
I had a few guys that were high on him this year in fantasy. I wasn't. I don't know. He threw 3 picks last week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They were down by multiple scores most of the game. So you knew he was going to get some garbage time touchdowns, and he did.
He didn't get
Adams
enough
looks good.
points.
He looks good with Adams, and I think that'll help him. But I still don't think, like, for him to be truly elite, you would have to see Renfro going for 80 to 100, Waller going for 80 to 100, and then Adams going off. You know what I mean? But right now, you're just seeing and I'm not saying this is indicative for the rest of the season, but right now you're just seeing a lot of Adams and not as much of those other 2 guys. I think between the 2 of them, they split six targets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is
I do all too well.
Oh, so yeah, you know what I mean? And so that you can't, I think that's still going to lead to mediocre numbers if he's just going to be, forced into Adams the whole game. Unless he can start seeing the whole field and taking all those guys, using them to his advantage, it's not going to matter.
Fair enough. So I should cut him and pick up Mariota?
Not yet.
He was another one who there were like 3 guys I was ready to get. And then I'm like, oh, it's quarterback time for me. I went with your strategy of taking quarterbacks late, and my team sucks. So because I waited like around too long for everything.
In this league, compared to what happened last year, it was way different. I was able to wait on a quarterback last year and be fine.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. This year, everybody started grabbing them early, so it's like you had to start grabbing them early if you wanted it. If you were going to compete, and it's such a big part of the fantasy with us that the 2 quarterbacks and they score a lot of points, so you need those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I was lucky that I had Dak. He got hurt, but I have Lance, and I think Lance will rush enough to, keep up with what Dak would have done anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you want to trade me Dak, I'll keep him on my bench.
I don't know how long he's going to be out for.
They're saying 4 weeks.
That Jerry Jones said that, and then I read this thing that said like, you don't want to know how bad it really is, or something like that.
But they didn't put him on the IR.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I need to find a quarterback unless I go with David Carr. Though I did pick up Wentz, but hey, to each their own. I don't know if he's going to do any good. Yeah. I should pick up Geno instead. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I need to get another quarterback too, but
there's no one out there.
I know.
We're stuck.
Wasn't Daniel Jones still available or no?
I don't know. He didn't seem to be on the list. Let's see. Nope, he's been picked up. They dropped Trubisky and picked up Jones. Oh, they picked up Mariota too.
Who's they?
Believe. I think that's my mom.
The one who just asked
about Mariota, yeah.
Well, we're screwed.
Yep.
There's also a thing called picking up players just to screw everybody else over in the league.
Yes.
And if you can do that, sometimes,
yep.
It's the smart move.
Yeah. I'm loaded at receiver. It just doesn't, it's not going to do enough.
I'm loaded at or running back, but it don't matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're last and second last. How about that?
My defense did terrible.
My defense carried me.
Oh, my defense did absolutely awful. Like, my offense did better than Noah's offense, but my defense just did it was terrible. His defense is elite, though. Like, his defense is amazing.
Yeah, because he took my strategy of caring about your defense and taking defenses around defensive players around ahead of when everyone else was.
Yeah.
Because I get Aaron Donald every year, and I was waiting, and I was like, he's gonna drop again. He's gonna drop, and then I was waiting, and then Noah took him. I think Noah took him, and I was like, no, come on.
Yeah, I was looking at his defense, and I'm like, this team is stacked.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in a good spot, except for, well
when I get my defense going, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, Rapp only had 20 points, and you thought he would get a lot more. A couple guys just underperformed.
And Noah's got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Who will be right there at playoff time.
Yeah, you think there's no roster spots?
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to hold on to him or not.
Yeah, come on. I mean, I can't even pick up a quarterback right now because there's no roster spots.
Well, I asked people if they wanted to change the rules or change rosters or anything like that, and people were like, no, leave it alone.
Yeah, I hear you. I was going to ask something about... Hold on, I can't remember. Oh, I was going to say, if I drop Dak, are you guys going to pick him up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right. Great.
The minute you drop him, I would grab him. Or Noah would.
Damn it. Well, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I gave away too many of my secrets this year in our fantasy preview shows. Noah and my mom took everyone I wanted.
I know. I feel like I went Schultz in 2 leagues just because of you. It's he might be good.
He still might be.
No, I think he'll be fine.
It'd be crazy if Cooper Rush came out and threw for 300 for every game or something. That would be
amazing. And there's a competition when Dak comes back.
Right.
Never.
It just makes Rush tradable.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts.
I'm excited for Monday night to get a big win. We're at home. And just kind of do what you guys did last week, and I think we'll be in good shape.
I agree. There's one. I did listen to both your strategy and CJ's strategy and followed them.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, we're glad you have one of the better teams. while CJ and I wallow in our
Yeah,
sorrows.
well, we just got screwed. And Malia's doing okay. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right?
cool. That's exactly how I wanted it.
Yep. We can make a trade, you and me. We'll collude.
Yeah, for sure. Just don't say it. Oh well, never mind.
I'll edit that out of the broadcast because we have so many people watching.
You can try, yeah.
All right, yeah. So go Bills. Go Sabres have their little rookie young player, not camp, tournament with other teams coming up. The first game is tomorrow, I think. But it's Boston and New Jersey are here, and I think a couple other teams. Montreal is here this year. So that'll be fun. And it's not going to be like Owen Power, they said, and a couple other guys won't be like the guys who are top young guys because they did their thing in camp. They and at the whatever, there was a day where it was like show off the rookie day, yeah, so go Sabres in their little tournament. This is where we're gonna see the first round picks and that kind of thing. I'll try and remember what Noah says here. So if you watched us to the end, thank you.
Like, comment, subscribe.
That's right. Like, comment, subscribe. Do you have the next line?
Nope, I gave you the next line. That's your turn.
Oh. We'll have to go with my own. We appreciate you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you watched. And we'll be back with Noah and dissect the Bills Titans next week. Live, laugh, love. What is he says? Something like that.
I got it. Hold on. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, or something like that. Is that what it is?
Yeah, close enough. Close enough.
Stay sunny, Buffalo.
Rest in peace, Her Majesty.
That's right.